country you're in. A really warm welcome from James and myself. We're going to be looking at how coaches can scale their practice at minimum cost. But I do want to stress this isn't just for coaches. This is for anybody that wants to improve their performance and anybody that wants to improve their team's performance. What I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to introduce myself. I'm then going to introduce James. We're then going to have a look at the benefit of James's platform. We've then got a really interesting offer that James is offering at the moment. And we want to go to that in detail so you have the opportunity of joining it in. It is totally free, but you have to do a bit of work. But I do highly recommend it. So I'm going to go back to introducing myself. I'm Michael. I'm a one-to-one NLP trainer, and I'm a Marshall Goldsmith stakeholder coach. And I work with probably 4 to 6 people around the world. And if I had any claim to fame, I'm lucky enough to work with some very, very interesting people. And one of the things I'm interested in is all ways of improving performance, helping people having more successful lives, all that sort of thing. And this series, this LinkedIn series, is really based about interesting people that I've come across that have ideas that I'm not saying they're 100% right, but they are absolutely worth having a look at and considering, and offer some pieces of the jigsaw puzzle of how we're going to move forward. I'm delighted to have James here. We've spoken before, but both our knowledge is sort of moving forward. So James, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
First of all, Michael, I'm pleased that I potentially qualify for the interesting person category. So I'll let other people make up their own mind as to whether you've made a good call on that. And apologies for anyone who's hearing this for the second time, because I did introduce myself a few minutes ago, so you may be hearing it twice. James Wallace, I'm the CEO and founder of 100% Club, which is a new concept we'll be talking about in a second. My background ranges from delivering behavioural change programs to offenders in the probation service to growing high-performing teams in the technology sales sectors.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, let's move on to, we're going to split this into 2 sections. We're going to be talking about 100% Club as a top overview, and then we're going to talk about this offer where you're suggesting people can actually explore it for themselves. So let's talk about 100% Club. Very top level, what is it?
Your favourite opening line, Michael, very
Absolutely.
top level. So it's a new way, we believe, very new way to deliver change of arguably any type, which is a big statement. So let me qualify that. I call it a general purpose change tool, because what you do is you decide and lock in exactly what target, what goal, what change you want to go after, define what that looks like, what the activity that sits behind it needs to look like. And what we do is create the right wider conditions to facilitate it, to make it happen. And it comes in the form of a digital platform, a 100-day experience, task-based over that period, that compels people to act, compels people to engage, and really focuses on the gap between knowing and doing. And the reason it works so well is because that activity surfaces the behaviours and the traits and the ultimate opportunities, I suppose, to get what you need in place to achieve the goals that you set yourself at the beginning of the process. And that's it at a high level.
Cool, thank you very much. What is unique about it?
So let me show you, if I may, the platform.
Yeah.
To begin to talk about that a little bit better. Now tell me if you can't see this, Michael, but hopefully you can.
Now I'm going to ask you to share it again, because I didn't realize I had to tick a box.
And let me try again then.
Disappeared as I was ticking the box.
Let me try again. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, and it's now on our screens.
Okay, so I'll stick to very high level, as we say, but the first thing that is quite unique about this, and hopefully very different, is the actual platform and the user experience itself. It's designed to be very immersive, very engaging. We, to some extent, gamify the environment, because what we're doing is creating the conditions, as I say, for change to happen. We're focusing on all of the areas, or as many as we can, in people's lives that represent the friction which prevents change from happening, because The problem isn't knowing what to do. The problem, most of the time, the problem is being compelled to do it. So how do we deal with perceived time poverty, for example? How do we make people want to do something which might be a bit uncomfortable, a bit difficult at a time whereby they would normally say no, etc., etc. So this whole experience addresses all of those things as best it can. And it uses a blend of levers to do that, a mixture of incentives to get people to engage and complete. Fundamentally, it's a shared experience. Hopefully you can see me going down the page here, whereby there's a community of people all going through fundamentally the same tasks and the same activities, but what they then pointed at and the experience beyond that becomes very, very personalized. And that's how we get the balance. But that's actually very powerful, knowing that other people are going through the same experience as you are at that particular point in time. So there are other things going on, but this should give you a bit of an idea as to why the platform and user experience is different, for example, to doing a normal training course or reading a book or going to see a coach. The second point is that you can point it at anything, because again, what we're not doing is teaching how to deliver explicitly that thing. The goal can be anything you like. What we're doing is surfacing the things around that holistically in people's lives to make it easier to actually achieve the things that you want from this. The opportunity to leverage AI is also quite a unique aspect to this, because there's so much rich content which the experience creates. One example is user-generated video content, which is very authentic and rich in data, but it also is highly contextual because it links to things which we know are going on in the background. So that's a very good platform for AI and automation to work from, to understand and get insights in terms of what people need, when people need help, or how we can optimize the experience. And then the final and fourth point that we believe is very different and unique is the actual business model itself. So there are various aspects to this, but one of the best examples is the white label facility which we offer coaches, for example. So what that means is that coaches can brand this as their own business experience up here, and they can actually customize some of the activity here to basically create their own hybrid product, if you like. And we also start that white label subscription model in a free way, a free version for coaches. So we allow them to get 10 people onboarded and ready to do this experience, which means that they don't actually have to pay us any subscription costs until the people are ready at their end, their clients are ready at their end to start paying. So those are a few examples, hopefully, of what makes this quite unique.
That's good. And something else that came to me, I think, as being a coach myself, that it's actually getting people to take action, and it's giving people the encouragement and follow up to maintain that action over time. And I think from my point of view, this does a number of things, but in that particular area, it's very strong. That's just my view. As I say, it's encouraging to take people action over time, and it's actually, it encourages people to take action, and there is some gentle monitoring to make sure that you actually do so. And I think that's really powerful. Moving on from that, who are, from your point of view, your ideal clients? Who are the people that are going to get the maximum value from this platform?
So from an individual perspective, the people who are going to get the maximum value are ones who want some sort of change in their lives, who want to develop themselves in some way or another. From a business perspective, it's people who recognize some of the limitations of traditional coaching and training. And the way that we frame that is what happens outside the room. So you can have the best training environment, discussion at a point in time, but what happens when people walk out? What happens when they get distracted by life and other points of friction get in the way? That's one of the strengths of 100% Club, because that's almost the point it takes over. When you've decided what you want from it and what you want to aim it at, it carries with you and stays with you to keep you accountable and to keep you focused in, as we said, hopefully a fun and compelling way over the period of time to ensure that change actually happens. So people who recognize that problem from a business perspective are ideal clients of ours. And coaches who want to scale their businesses and manage more people at a single point in time, and ideally deliver better client results as well, again, due to the accountability that we provide.
Okay. What very top level, what are some of the pains that people have, and the implications of those pains, which in due course your platform will help? So that classic sales question: what are the pains? What are the implications of pains of people in everyday life? Where in the end you will give them some sort of solution, and it could be coaches, but it also could be senior leaders or entrepreneurs that want to develop their lives. So let me throw the question at you.
So from an individual perspective, again, is the way I like to try and categorize the groups. It's people who've maybe had no impact or not the type of results that they want or expect from other options that are available. Again, I alluded to books, I alluded to events, I alluded to training programs, all of which in their own right can be brilliant, but don't necessarily address the problem that we're talking about here, is what happens when they stop and people return to their normal lives. And that can create a bit of a misery loop whereby people keep on trying these things, but no change actually happens. It's not solving the fundamental problem that needs to be addressed. From a coaching perspective, it's coaches who are stuck in what we call the trading time for money trap, a bit of a glass ceiling, because there's only so much time they have. They can only deal with so many people at any single point in time through traditional methods, but this digital platform allows you to burst out of that significantly. And it's also coaches who struggle to get enough clients, because the premium version I alluded to beforehand, which allows you to get 10 people ready, primed, ideally wanting to change something, ready to change something, then need something to deliver that before the coaches actually have to spend any money. Basically, that's a facility which we are offering them. So it helps them scale their business and actually get more clients at the beginning without too much risk or incurring too much cost at the beginning. And that lends itself as well to the title of the session we're looking at, right? Which is how do coaches scale their businesses at minimum cost. So we're trying to de-risk it at all ends for people like coaches, meaning that they don't have to spend until they're guaranteed that they're getting income. Otherwise that doesn't happen, and giving them a facility to manage many more people at a single point in time than they're otherwise perhaps capable of handling. And businesses looking to develop next gen leaders, who are maybe asking questions as to who those are going to be and how they can see, their potential and get confirmation and validation of that, how they can improve unity, collaboration, both within teams and across different teams in businesses, and obviously performance issues with individuals and teams as well. So those are the pain points that we would directly look to address in the use cases with something like this.
Okay. Now, my view is what you've talked about it, because you've looked at coaches and individuals. If you are a CEO or a divisional leader of a company, all these things may apply to you if you want to improve the performance or the culture of your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. This is designed for individuals and teams. Yeah, absolutely. You decide what the use case is. But even from the team perspective, the reason we believe this works is because we create a win-win-win scenario, as we call it. And there's no point pointing a team or a group in a particular direction without them getting something out of it personally, themselves, professionally themselves, and at a group team level. Because, of course, not everyone will be as united as each other in that quest of achieving a specific target or achieving a specific goal at a corporate level, even if they've had an opportunity to engage on what that is. So we need other things to support that dynamic and help ensure that everyone is on board, and there's lots of other benefits that they can obtain from it other than just what the company wants or the team or the group wants, for example.
Okay. Again, let's look at it from the point of view of the coach or the individual or the CEO or leader. If they're addressing this, what do they need? What do you expect from them so that almost ensures they get value from what you're offering?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So there are a couple of processes that we run people through before they start what you saw, which is the dashboard and the 100-day experience. So at an individual level, there's a process we take people through to surface, what are the pain points, again, to use your language beforehand, what are the needs, what are the things that they really want to affect in their personal lives and professional lives, to ensure that we point the 100-day experience at that and we measure impact in those areas so they get something from it. But at a team level, we also take the group in question and the leader of that group through a process, a group exercise, facilitated group exercise beforehand to again identify, after asking a load of questions and understanding what it is that people want from this and what the business wants to point it at, what that looks like, and locking it in. So both of those two exercises come together to ensure that we get that win-win scenario right from the beginning. And that's how leaders and companies themselves can define and get clarity on what it is that they want from the group and point everyone in the same direction. That's the process as to how we get them there.
Excellent. Okay. Now, in a minute, we're going to start talking about the sort of offer you're giving to people. But while we finish on the top level view, anybody that's interested in the overall platform, what's your call to action? What would you like them to do if they want to take it further, accepting they may want to do the trial? But let's put that to one side.
So do you want to go through what the benefits are of joining the platform first, Michael? Just because there's a couple of points on that that's probably worth just discussing, if that's
No, please do.
So, you know, the overall benefits of going through this, whether it be just the 10-day experience, which I'll elaborate a bit more upon the second, or the full 100 days, are, you know, let's boil it all down. What are the friction points which prevent change from happening? It's because it's hard, right? It's because people maybe aren't in a healthy pattern of habits and things like that. They maybe don't have balance in their lives, so they're not as effective as they could be when they're performing tasks, all that sort of stuff. So fundamentally, that is what we've geared the platform to deliver. So when you go through either the 10 days or the 100 days, fundamental things such as healthy habits, balance, and improved overall performance, both personally and professionally, is what you can expect. So that's the answer to the first part of that question. In terms of what they should do to get the most out of the experience, they have to commit to the process, which sounds obvious, and engage. There's no point doing this unless you are going to commit to that. What does that look like is probably the next question. So it's up to you is the answer. We don't police it, but what we recommend is 30 minutes a day. Commit to that in your mind, block that out, protect it with your life, and prioritize that as best you can. If that doesn't happen, it's not a problem. It's flexible. You can catch up, but in your mind, that's what you should be committing to. And then we ask a deliberately provocative question, which is, you know, if you're not willing to commit 30 minutes, some people do less, some people do more, your choice. But if you're not willing to commit to that, we'd probably argue that you're pointing it at the wrong stuff, because by definition, the process that I just walked you through very briefly beforehand determines what are the most important things personally and professionally that you in your life at this point in time that you want to change, you want to affect. If you're not willing to put 30 minutes aside to try and affect those, you're probably pointing them at the wrong goals, would be our argument. And the secondary part to that, because time is a big barrier to entry in this discussion. You know, you talked about it, I think, at the beginning. It's one of the biggest objections we get to this before people start. But as soon as people do start and engage properly, hopefully they enjoy it and they see immediate returns and an immediate impact, and that's noticed by others as well. But actually you become better in your decision making. You become more effective in terms of what you do. You reprioritize things. I could go on. And what that looks like is actually getting time back. Even though you're putting time in, on the face of it, overall you're getting time back. And one of the things that people genuinely report in quite a surprised way after maybe sort of 10, 20 days is that they have more time to spare than they did when they started this process, which is very interesting.
I'm just going to underline it, because I think how we use our sort of time, energy and focus is really important, and it's deciding what is worth investing in. And I agree with you, 30 minutes a day on some form of self-development through some sort of structure for the right people will give huge benefits.
Yeah.
So I think, but it is, we all have to make that decision as to what are we going to invest our time in, and is it worth it for us, or is it not? And subject to that, to me, this sort of thing is a very good thing to invest your time, because the one thing we're certain of is things are changing at the moment. The skills that people have now may not be the skills they need in the future. And so this is a way of making sure we're getting the right skills for whatever happens over the next few years.
Quite right. Yeah, future-proofing people.
Very important stuff. There's some very important stuff around this. So thanks for that. Well, let's look at now the trial you're offering, because it's around the interesting subject of energy and motivation, which I think all of us is potentially useful for all of us at some stage. So very top level, introduce the trial.
Yeah, so you talked beforehand about what's the call to action, right,
Yes.
for
Yeah.
the trial,
Yeah.
and that is, we can't provide it through this facility because you and I were trying earlier on, but you're going to send out, as I understand it, to everyone who signed up to this, a simple sort of mail afterwards, which will contain a link, which will take you to a landing page, which I can show you in a second, which will allow you simply to input your details and create a start date for the 10 days. In fact, I'll probably show you that now, just so you can see it. So hopefully you'll have a request, Michael, to do that.
You're right, and thank you for reminding me.
So on the assumption you can see this, so this is an example of one of the landing pages. There's a couple of variations. Here is a video, just a 5-minute video if you want to watch it, which goes into detail as to what happens next if you do provide your details. And if you do, you get what we've promised, which is the free 10-day energy and motivation experience, a free personal change plan, which is what creates the dashboard that I showed you in terms of the platform itself, i.e. what do you want to point the experience at, even just the 10-day experience, it's all still valid, whether or not you just stick to that or go on to do the full 100 days, and all of the other detail that you need to book in any calls. You can book in a one-to-one discovery call with me if you want, but it's optional. And then the rest is just a very simple step process to getting you onboarded. So hopefully that will make sense. So that is the link that will be provided to everyone at the end of the LinkedIn Live session. So in terms of what are the benefits of this category specifically?
Yeah.
So it's called energy and motivation, right? So I'm hoping we're going to deliver some sort of positive impact, not negative impact, in terms of energy and motivation. So that's absolutely what we're trying to do. What that looks like, I'll give you some examples of in a second, but it also just focuses on discipline. It starts to make the hard things easier. It starts to make the hard things more enjoyable because of the environment which we're trying to create, as I keep talking about how we're removing friction. It starts to increase sense of purpose as well and get clarity on what people really want and what they're really doing things like this for, and arguably even within the first 10 days allow you to have more impact, visible and noticeable impact on the things that you're doing, because your energy levels and hopefully your motivation are slightly improved within that time. In terms of specifics, so what does the first 10 days look like? Well, yeah. I'm not going to go into every single task because there's an element of surprise here, but I'll give you the range. So it ranges from getting clarity and definition on what you want to potentially get out of the experience, just the 10 days, whilst assessing what the blockers are. You know, what are the things potentially getting in the way currently of you, Michael, getting X, Y, and Z that you want to point this at. We asked people to post some video diary entries. I talked about some of the rich contextual data which the experience creates and how sort of automation and AI can leverage that. That's where that point comes in. There's lots of benefits to that, some of which are obvious, some of which are not. Breath work and some suggestions for immediate ways to feel energized, and a few surprises. So there's a range of activities in there for people to experience over that first 10 days.
Yeah, okay. And you sort of covered this a bit, but I'd like you to bring it out. What do people need to do to get the best value out of that 10 days? So it's genuinely worthwhile to them.
Yeah, it really is simple. There's no point overcomplicating this. This is to say that you are going to commit to 30 minutes a day. As I say, if you aren't able to, we know life happens. It's designed in a way that's very flexible. So if for whatever reason you can't do anything for 2 or 3 days, you can catch up, no problem at all. And how much time and effort you put into that catch up is up to you. But there's no point doing this unless you're going to put some effort into it. You said at the beginning there's some work, there is some work. So set aside 30 minutes a day, be open, you know, to something which is new and slightly different, but hopefully very, very enjoyable. So just commit to the process. It really is that simple.
Okay, well, we're sort of coming to the end of our formal questions. You've already mentioned this, but would you like to repeat what people that are interested in either the 10-day thing or the overall platform, what's the call to action?
Yeah, so click on the link and do the 10-day free trial is really the only call to action on this. So you'll receive that, have a look at the landing page. If you want to ask any more questions, need any more information, get in touch. Otherwise, just go through that process. You're not having to commit anything other than your time. If at the end of that 10 days, because you use that 10 days to decide if you want to continue, right? If you want to open up the full 100-day package. If you don't, it just automatically ends. You don't need to notify us. We don't take payment details or anything silly like that. But if you do want to open up the 100 days, you contact us and you pay for the full 100-day experience. And all of the detail behind that is in the email and on the landing page that I showed you a second ago. And an important point, actually, if I may say, Michael, what we're doing is that we're giving anyone who cites this LinkedIn Live session 50% off the 100-day experience. So again, you don't have to do that. But if you do, we're giving you a code, which is a coupon voucher in the comms that you send out to everyone afterwards that they can input if and when they did want to open up the full 100-day experience. So there's a benefit of people giving you their time, giving you and me their time today. So,
yeah. Okay, now another major question, okay, which I have to say we did not rehearse. So
you always like to throw me.
No. Which I'm hoping you may have noticed that we headed this how coaches can scale their coaching practice at minimum cost, and we've been very careful not to mention any of that up to this stage. So, James, if I can let you come up with some thoughts on how can a coach use this platform to develop their coaching practice?
Yeah, well, we did talk about this earlier on, but I will talk about it again because it's very, very important, seeing as it's the heading of the session. So we have a subscription model, which is completely different. And if you want to talk about this in detail, get in touch with me, but it's on our website, which is designed to make it really easy for coaches, whilst incurring 0 to very small amounts of cost, for them to create customers and scale their coaching businesses and create their own version of 100% Club. So you'll remember me talking about the white label model. That allows a coach to basically brand it as their own product, and for free, without spending any money, they can put 10 people on the platform ready to go. So they've gone through the personal change plan. They've got a bit of a feel as to what the platform's about. They're seeing other people in the community get benefit. And then they say to the coach, actually, I would like to go through your version, Michael Beale, of 100% Club, or just the version which is already ready to go, which I've shown you from us. They then pay you, and only at that point do you need to start paying a subscription to us. So you don't spend any money with us until you're guaranteed income and money from potential clients. And we're creating an incubator, as we call it, in that white label model for 10 people to be warmed up, ready to go under the guise of Michael Beale's coaching practice. So that's how and you can accommodate as many people as you want. So once you start moving up the subscription tiers, which is your choice as to how you do that, you can have as many people going through the experience as you like. So scale is there for you. And again, at minimum cost, because we're not asking for any money from you as a coach until you're guaranteed spend from potential customers. So hopefully that answers that question.
That's very good. And I think, if anybody is interested in this, do talk to James about it, because I think it's a very interesting idea, and it's something that I'm going to come back to on different LinkedIn Lives, looking at the various way coaching and professional services people can scale and develop their business. I think it's a really interesting topic, as I say, especially in these times. Okay, that's cool, James. We're even ahead of us time-wise, which is always a good thing. As we're sort of beginning to bring it to an end, what would you like everybody to remember from this session today?
So the first thing I'd like everyone to remember, and I hope you can begin to see this, is that we truly believe this is different. The experience, what we're going after, is not necessarily that different. There's nothing new in terms of wanting to change behaviors, achieve a certain goal, etc. But how we are addressing the elephant in the room, which is how are we creating an environment which supports that, which is fun, which is immersive, which gives lots of other benefits, is very different to anything else we've seen out there. Please feel free to challenge us on that. But the best way to challenge us on that is go through the experience. That's the second part. Go through the free 10-day trial, get a feel for what it is, get a feel for what it's not, get a feel for what impact it's going to have on you and others and your potential clients if you're a coach, etc. And make that sort of call afterwards. And that's it, really. Yeah, there's no point overcomplicating it. Just give it a go if you can, and make the judgment and make the call as to whether it's for you after that point.
No, excellent. Thank you very much. I am going to emphasize we can discuss these things for a long time. But to me, it's the experience. It's having the experience of doing it that actually enables us to decide how much value it might bring us. So
Okay.
I would like to thank you for offering the 10-day thing, because I say it's only to me it's only getting our feet wet. There's an awful lot of theoretical stuff out there, and the answer is we have to make some choices of what we explore to decide what's going to be right for us. So I really appreciate. I think it's really nice that we have this offer and suggestion.
Yeah, and we only want people to have a good experience. We're not interested in anything else. It's very, very simple. So yeah, it'd be good to see what people make of it.
Okay, thank you everybody for listening. I will send some notes out after. I'm really delighted that you've attended this one. Please keep your eyes open as we progress with the series. But thank you very much. And my last thanks will be to James. So give a last wave, James. Give a last wave or hi.
Thank you very much
Something
to everyone and you, Michael. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.